Reese Butcher earned a crazy victory at Green Valley Super Speed Ring last week. Now looking forward, can he be successful in his second chase run? Johnny Gardner had a heartbreaker last year at Twin Ring Motegi. Can he pull off a victory after a runner-up finish last season? And after a hard hit at Green Valley, Stuart Gretton has dropped out of the points lead. But with a victory under his belt, can he be the first to make it 2 wins in 2018? Well, we've managed to come to a lot of the tracks we went to last year early in the season. This is just the third returning track to the schedule, 7 races in. But as we saw last year, this is a track that provides a lot of excitement, and we are excited to be back in the beautiful landscape of Japan here at Twin Ring Motegi. This is the Twin Ring 400 for NFRN Elite Cup Series racing action. Hello again, everybody. My name is Colin Denton. I will be on the call today for RBN, and we are returning once again to Twin Ring Motegi. We saw when we returned to Pikes Peak, Stuart Gretton took the win. When we went back to Riki, the veteran William Brock got the win. Can we see another veteran grab it here today? Johnny Gardner, of course, being one of those drivers that looked like they were so close to making it into the chase, but got it ripped just apart at the last lap, coming off of a caution flag and the lap traffic in the way. We're going to see if that intensity picks up again here this race, and if it does, it's bound to be a good week for the viewer. We'll just see if the drivers can get through that adversity. Well, it's not the first time we've been out of the country so far this season, but it is the first time we've gone overseas, and it won't be the last time either. Got a race down in Australia in a couple weeks' time, but today we go to Motegi, Japan, part of the Tochigi Prefecture. Population of just over 13,000 people, 65 miles from Tokyo. That is a direct path, a little longer if you want to take a drive, about 2 hours. And the town is home to the Nissan Proving Grounds, which is a place to test off-road vehicles. That track completed in 1997. Let's take a lap around our Toyota test car, and we'll show you the unique features of this racetrack. These turns are not quite the same in either end as you get into turns 1 and 2. You're going to be on the gas a little bit more as this is a wider turn, going to carry a lot more speed. Not going to be quite the kind of passing area you'd like to have. That is what's going to happen down in turns 3 and 4, but this backstretch is going to have an opportunity for a lot of speed, trying to carry down and make a move to the inside, but if you're running the regular groove, you'll be running just on the outside of that darker pavement, possibly getting up above it, but that's going to be the slower corner. Going to be out of the gas just a little bit, all the way out to the through the turn until you get back to the start-finish line, and that is a lap around Twin Ring Motegi. The part-time qualifiers are going to take a drive around here. They haven't gotten any laps in yet because the Truck Series was the last series to race here, and they're not going to be quite as clean as those part-timers before. John Gilbert, TJ Smith make contact. Smith's still under probation, but that incident ruled incidental. But a big hit between Jake Thomas and Jay Jefferson. Ryan Kendall and Robert Harrison also involved. Big hits by those drivers. They'll go under caution, go back to green, and it's going to be another incident between 2 drivers involved in those first 2 incidents. John Gilbert and Ryan Kendall get together. Big hit, smoke coming out of 21, and it's going to be a race back to the caution flag, which is going to see Donnie Moore take it, and Connor Mays slip into the show. Also making an appearance, Wayne Calloway, Chris Harley, Kenny Knox, Noah Kim. And Connor Mays finally getting in after having 6 straight DNQs. Heading into this one, he finally makes his way into the show. Ryan Kendall and Jake Thomas going to drop out. And following a last place finish at Green Valley, Stuart Gretton's not going to hold the hot seat this week, but it's going to go to another Ford driver in Rampage, the Season 1 champion. He's had 2 top 10s in the past 4 weeks, as well as a 13th and a 21st place finish. Going to see if he can continue that streak of good luck, and he'll have our helmet cam on for the day. It's time to get racing here in Japan. Let's send it trackside for the command.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome award-winning chef and series host of the F Word with Gordon Ramsay on Fox. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gordon Ramsay.
Drivers, start
your engines. Let's go.
The sounds of engines roaring to life is one of the best there is, and that also means it's time for the starting grid for today's race. And we start on the front row with Rambo in number 4, Jimmy John Chevrolet, currently 34th in the points and needing a big Kickstarter. So he's got the pole today, and alongside Dale Jr. Fan 8883, among one of the best qualifiers in the field in that number 76 Crystal Pepsi Chevrolet. In row number 2, we have Jake Baskinger, who has 2 top 10s this year, and Amethyst Ashley, your Pigs Cliff winner, looking to get back into the top 10 in points. Row 3 has Eli Bright, who finished 7th at Green Valley Super Speedway, and John Arndt, who is still seeking his first career win. Row 4 has Gerard O'Ron, your runner-up at Green Valley, and Adam Munding, who also had a good run there with a 9th place finish. In row 5, to round out the top 10, we have a pair of Chevys in Bruno De Barros and Dominic Carranza. Row 6 has Julio Caesar, your first winner of the season, and your Season 1 champ, Rampage, on the outside. Row number 7 has the Riki winner, William Brock, the veteran, and Eric Monaco, who's running midpoint among the full-timers in points at 18th. Row 8 has Johnny Gardner, who was the runner-up in this race last year, looking to see if he can close the deal, and Dwayne Calloway, our first part-timer among qualifying results. But row 9 will see 2 more. Connor Mates making his Elite Cup Series debut after 6 DNQs, and Donnie Moore is making his 4th start in a mediocre Elite Cup Series campaign with very poor finishes so far. And Noah Carr is in row 10, finished 15th in this race last year, and Brad Stover looking to see if he can compete for the points lead. And obviously Johnny Gardner is going to be one of our drivers to watch, but I'd also like to look out for some of our big practice names. Jake Baskinger qualified 3rd, won the first practice. He could be a big contender in this one, but also pay attention to some of our part-timers that have done really well. Donnie Moore won the 2nd practice and qualified for this one, and Dwayne Calloway finished top 10 in both. And those guys are a little bit further back in the field, but they could have the speed in their race cars to perform really well if they were practicing in race trim, of course. So we'll see if those drivers are able to make it up, but the 84 car could be a big contender as well, if he got a great qualifying spot. And the pace car is going to pull off here. We're going to see the 42 cars pull off the final turn. An Elite Cup Series racing action about to get underway as they pull down the front stretch. Green flag flies here at Twin Ring Motegi. Four car off to a good jump so far as the 76 pulls in the line, and they're already starting to show some 3-wide potential, and we saw this during the truck race. They like to get tight, and they're smoking the back. That's more like midfield, and that was Eric Monaco that looked like he was sideways. But no caution, no one goes around. Oh, but more contact there, and that's Fitzwater making contact with 64 in turns 1 and 2. But another save right underneath Monaco. We stay green still. Already getting antsy 2 laps into this 50-lap event. And a lot of that happening near the rear of the field. As we get a little bit of a breakaway at the front. Single file, 4 cars back. You can see the difference that's been made on this early lap. And now we've got more trouble, and Davidson hard into the wall. Nick Smith took him down there, and the 98 car also spun around. Heavy damage to Noah Ponser as well. Davidson smoking, and that could be the end of his day. So we go under caution, heading into lap number 3. Heavy smoke out of the 11 car. The 92 has his front end bashed in. Ponser's been having a terrible year so far, and so is Davidson. They just haven't had any luck in these first 7 races. And there goes the caution flag. Is it about the same order as we saw them in the previous lap? Rambo will continue to lead them, getting some valuable bonus points, at least for now. We're going to see if he can hold that lead. As the rest of the field tries to work their way in. Could see some pit strategy early here. Obviously, pit strategy was a big topic of last year's event, as it ended up resulting in a lot of lapped cars in front of the leaders on the final restart, but of course that also had to do with cars crashing coming on the pit lane, and hopefully we're not going to see a lot of that, but always a possibility based on what we saw happen last year. And the 4 car is going to come down the pit lane, but the 76 is not. An interesting choice right here. There's only a couple cars coming down. Now we turn our attention to the replay. Now this is the first lap incident, and they're already 3 wide here, and the one in the 33 extremely close. They're making contact, and the one's getting run into the wall. 33 gets sideways off the contact with Rampage, and he gets away. Monaco still sliding as Callaway goes to his outside, but that's a save right there. No caution needed, as there's no debris put down, no 180 pulled in that situation. You have an onboard with Rampage wearing the helmet cam. And there's the little squeeze that you can see. Thinking the 33 came up. Let's look at this next incident, and this is going to be, I think the 98 came down on Caleb Campbell. 98 in the middle, 41 on the inside. Jonathan Raines put in the wall. Butcher, last week's winner, getting involved in it. And he's turned into the wall as Nick Smith and Davidson go out of frame to the inside and smash the inside wall. Mitchell Mark caught up in Butcher's incident. Just like we saw in the truck race, they kind of bunch up here in this pack, not knowing where to go when they're all grouped together, but this time it looks a little less severe, no one getting on top of each other, as we saw with those trucks. Take another angle here. I think the 98 might have gotten loose in that middle groove, and that's not a big surprise based on the aerodynamics of these race cars, and that's a very heavy hit right there for the 11 car. I do not believe we'll see him back on the track, and in fact he has taken it back to the garage, and it sounds like the team is going to call it quits for the day. That engine sounds like it's destroyed. And I would not deny that claim, as it was bashed in pretty heavily. We'll ride on board with the 11 car and see what goes wrong. Oh man, that hard hit, but I think Davidson was going to be in the clear if the 18 didn't get in the back of him. Just some bad luck right there once again for Davidson, as he is going to suffer a last place finish. NFRN Elite Cup Series racing action here at Twin Ring Motegi will return after this quick commercial break.
Drivers ready!
Hey, wait, whoa. What are we racing for anyway?
For fun? How about let's race for a Coke? Go! Out the road, buddy. Harvick, come on.
Got some horsepower, Bobby. Come on, DJ, get out of the way.
Going down, Walter. Sorry, Kyle. No problem. I just wrecked in turn 5. Last lap.
Nice race, guys. Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, we need you in the pits. Ah, dang. Sorry about your little car, Tony.
The deadline to join the NFRN for the next Truck Series race is quickly approaching. If you want to get involved in the part-time truck division, you'll have to enter by tomorrow night, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. That link in the description. And starting up this race, we'll have a 4-race series of the Open Modified Series returning. That will also debut in conjunction with this deadline. You sign up for part-time trucks, you are automatically entered for the Modifieds. That deadline, again, tomorrow, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, to get into the show. After some early accidents, David Davidson's going to be the only driver that drops out of the race here at Twin Ring Motegi. We still got 41 cars on the track. Still going to see if the damage on some of those race cars involved is going to impact their performance, but that is going to come right around now as we see the 76 is in the lead right now. Rambo drops back to 5th after he decides to make a pit stop, and we are back to green flag on lap number 8. So we're going to see if the pit strategy works out for anybody, as obviously some drivers choosing to come down, some drivers do not. The 05 is already right on the back of the 4 car. Trying to see if he can find a lane to get around. And the 84 making the move to the inside, the 76. And your first practice leader making his move to the lead, looking to get a bonus point for the lap led. And the 4 car coming back down pit road, and he must have a problem. And oh, more smoke. That was the 04 and the 0 car, and Cody Hagan into the wall. And he's going to spin around. That brings out a caution. Once again, they get bunched up on the front stretch. And the 4 car back down on pit road. Does he have a problem, and is he going to go a lap down because of it? Let's see what happens. We see the 42 car getting away with the damage he has. The 77 was also down on pit lane. And the 4's taking 4 tires. I'm not sure what happened there. There's more smoke in the background as a big accident coming back to the caution flag. Stuart Gradden involved once again. That was the last thing he needed, but he's going to be involved in another one. Philip Fry has some damage on his left side. Jet Kraus. His season's been up and down. Kenny Knox, your Mirage winner. And now they're finally slowing down, but another accident coming to the caution flag. We had one of those last week at Green Valley Superspeed Ring involving the Checkmate Motorsport teammates. We'll still have to review the accident here. Both of them, in fact, because we're not sure what happened with the 04 and the 0 car between Porkins and Caesar. But this quick caution flag is going to send most of the field down the pit lane, and Rambo's going to stay out, but that's probably just to get his lap back, and he's still going to be trapped behind the pace car. Now let's see what everyone's going for. Just because everyone's coming down doesn't mean we could see some varying strategies. Follow the 84, the 76, and the 6 into their pit stalls. Gardner will be the first one in. And it looks like he's going for 4 tires. Baskinger pulls in the 76 right behind him. And some more 4-tire pit stops taking place right here. Some value being placed on the tires right now. 6 car pulls away, but there's more cars actually pulling out in front of the other guys. And Eli Bright's going to be the one that wins the race off pit road. In fact, there's a lot of cars that didn't take any tires at all. Look at the big gains made by Eli Bright, Adam Mundinger, Bruno De Barros, Brad Stover, Stephen Willie, Noah Kim. All of them gaining at least a dozen spots. That's some big pit strategy playing out early in this race. Alright, let's take a look at all the incidents happening here. So, this is going to be a combination of the first incident and the second, and it looks like Chris Harley's in the middle of Porkins and Caesar as they manage to collide at the same time. They squeeze together and keep it straight somehow, and the 2 car of Chris Harley just manages to get by them both. Caesar really lost out on that one. He's going to continue losing spots as then Cody Hagan gets hit in the back by Dwayne Calloway, I believe. I don't know if the 42 was checking up as a reaction to the smoke. A bit of a delayed reaction, but maybe he saw Caesar was slowing down, didn't know where he was about to go, and Callaway did not let off the gas. That's going to end up putting the 42 in the wall, but I don't believe that's enough damage to put him out of the race. Just going to need a little repair work. Another angle, and this is going to be the next accident. So let's see what happens here. Not the greatest angle, but I believe the 29 is getting run. He's running down on Aiden Shepard, and another car back there, Tyler Markell, and big hit right there for the 78 and the 20. Philip Fry riding the pit lane wall, and Kenny Knox also smoking. 5 cars involved in that. Kenny Knox getting back up near the lane, and we saw the 34 car involved, and there's the big hit and sends Kenny Knox over. Did not see that originally. But we knew Kraus was going to be involved in that one, and that's where his damage came from. And it looks like for both those two drivers, they're going to be out of this one. It was a heavy hit into Knox. Oh, and then Tyler Markell trying to get out by it. Gets run into by Aiden Shepard. A lot not going right here. We'll watch on board Tyler Markell. That should give us a good angle of what happened there. Still a little bit questionable whether the 48 came up or the 29 came down. And he sees this whole incident happening right in front of him, and then trapped by Kraus. Tries to go to the outside, and there is Shepard. Well, we got to do a little bit of cleanup work, but we'll be back to Twin Ring Motegi very soon for some more Elite Cup Series racing action.
Can you feel it? The taste of Coca-Cola.
I'm not retired yet, you knuckleheads.
The result of that big accident on the front stretch is going to be 3 cars dropping out of this one. Kenny Knox and Jack Kraus out. No surprise there as they took some big hits, but Aiden Shepard, possibly with that contact with Tyler Markell, is going to be out of this one as well. Not sure he's going to have the kindest words to say to the 48 trying to make that merge right in front of him and get around Jack Kraus, but that is going to be a sticky situation for them to deal with post-race. We are back to green flag racing, and Eli Bright has the lead. Rambo stayed out to gain his lap back, but still in a threat to lose that lap because he was trapped behind the pace car. And he's just trying to see if he can roll this one around and get a quick caution flag. I think the more interesting thing to watch here is what is going to be the case for tire wear, because a lot of these front runners did not take any tires. Meanwhile, drivers like Johnny Gardner, Jake Baskin, who's coming down once again, and that's the case just like Rambo's as the 84 pulls on the pit lane for an unscheduled pit stop. And once again, a situation evolving. I mentioned that he was the first practice leader and had a fast car going in these first few laps, but suddenly pulls down. So we look back to Gardner, who's also one of our drivers to watch based on his result last season. And I'm thinking that maybe those tires were a good call because he didn't lose many spots because of it. He came in with a solid place, and he is trying to get around the 97 here, and there's no competition. Oh, well, he had a good run in the middle of the turn, but now the 6 car is going to get by, and he could possibly run away because I'm not even sure where the next driver down that took tires is. I think it might be... I know NASCAR Fan 19 took 4 tires, but someone in front of him, I think, also did the same. Looking at John Arndt. Only running 6, he's got the 76 to his inside. As we've mentioned many times before, Arndt still lacking the victory that he's been looking for his entire career. A veteran driver who made the championship 4 last year without winning a race, which is very impressive on his consistency, and that's continuing into this year, but obviously the win is still on the top of his checklist, regardless of if that makes him make the playoffs, although that's pretty much a goal of any driver. But his standing right now is pretty positive for that goal. You see some of the drivers that have been involved in the early accidents running around the back, including Stuart Gradden, who's led the points between races 2 and 5 until he lost it last week to Reese Butcher, who we're also on board with. And he's not having a great run either, and we know that Brad Stover running third in points could gain a lot from their struggles today, as you can see both the 29 and the 90 running right next to each other. But further back in the pack, Stover is 11 points out of the points lead. And that Butcher is currently holding. Gotta see if he can get inside the 29. You can see the hood damage barely crunching in his front end, and that doesn't make the car quite as aerodynamic, and that could cause some problems for lap times as the race progresses. Rambo currently holding his all in front of Johnny Gardner, and you can remember that the 4 car took 4 tires when he came down for that unscheduled stop. And he's currently running away with Johnny Gardner, but he's still waiting to see if that caution will come so that he can guarantee he'll get his lap back, try to compete with other drivers to get some spots made up, especially on those that are running slower. But as it turns out, they've managed to get through these first few laps of the restart clean, which is not what he was expecting and wanting. Brad Stover is pulled up into second place now, and NASCAR Fan 19 trying to force a 3-wide situation, gonna get sights. Gerard Aron in the middle there, still keeping it together. Man, that was a tight situation there, and Adam Mundinger really high outside. It's gonna slip back about 4 spots from that. I do believe Stover might have been the other driver, took 4 tires there. So the tire we're definitely playing into effect here. Not sure if the other teams want to save their tires. I'm not sure what tempted them to go for no tires at that point in time. Looking at Gerard Aron, last week's runner-up, so close to grabbing the victory. If only he had a few more feet during Butcher's accident, he could have driven right by. Not having a great year in the point standings right now, but a great finish today can continue that consistency, get him in the right direction. If he can grab a win and put himself in the top 25, he could find himself in the playoffs. We're seeing some good performances from the part-timers here, as we see Chris Harley competing with Connor Mays, who's making his Elite Cup Series debut. Dwayne Calloway is just behind William Brock, and he was in the top 10 in both practice sessions. It's a good day for part-timers right now. Kenny Knox obviously out of the race and not going to be gaining anything in that scenario. You see Noah Kim competing here with Tyler Markell. Julio Caesar just behind him. These Amateur Cup Series drivers are really showing some strength. We'll see if any of them progress to the next level next season. Of course, that is a bit far away, as Julio Caesar just barely makes contact with Tyler Markell. And a thing to note here is Johnny Gardner has gotten around Rambo. The 4 car still looking to the inside, trying to see if he can make a move on the 6 to keep himself from going a lap down again. But 6 car has passed him by, trying to hold him back so that he can't find any more ground. And obviously these two are both kind of far back in standings. Johnny Gardner, despite having a win in season 1, not having a great season either. Probably wants to keep his competition at bay, make them hold back as far as they can. No cars running right here. Last year finished 15th in this race. NASCAR Fan 19 right in front of him. He finished 3rd. It's a solid day for the 64 driver. Obviously 10 drivers in this field have been here before. They have the experience, William Brock being another one of those drivers. And if you look really closely, he's got a dent on the right side of his machine. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Doesn't look like it's impacting him. He's running pretty decently right now, and that's a good thing for Brock, who, after getting that win at Riki, looking to see if he can grab another just to kind of build his stock up. Obviously, every win adds another 3 bonus points to your total at the start. He's doing a day that's much better than what he had last year. Finished 20th. Twin Ring in 2016. This crowd is really filed out at this point. Almost single file the entire way back. Not all the way, but as you can see, Chris Harley still battling with Connor Mays up there at the 4th and 5th spot. Caleb Campbell's had some solid runs going into this race. I believe 2 top 10s in a row coming from Reiki and Green Valley. 41 driver involved in an accident earlier in the race, or at least in contact, and trying to make that back up. We got Ryan Maiden in front of him, as well as the race 3 winner, Amethyst Ashley. Stover's dropped back. I just noticed that as well. It looks like the 55 had a lot of speed, but suddenly he's not back. He's not in the top 9 anymore. And Rainbow has gotten back by Johnny Gardner as this battle continues to fly, but it's not looking good anymore as the 4 car pulls down in pit lane. He might be pitting for fuel, and that would make sense. He came down about 2 laps earlier than the leaders did. That also could set a barometer for where we expect to see these guys pit next, and that could come in a matter of a couple of laps. Gardner has the clean air all the way around NASCAR Fan 19, trying to pounce as well as Noah Cars. The 44 looking to the inside, trying to see if he can make a move. And he's got that one. Cars won the 12-car Clash earlier in the year, but hasn't won a points-paying event. As we see some more drivers starting to pull on the pit lane. That's Caleb Campbell, Zachary Fitzwater Sr., Stephen Willie, and contact there. Eli Bright makes a hard hit with the pit lane wall. No caution comes out, but there was some contact there as he made a 360. Heavy right side damage to the 88 car of Eli Bright. And that's not good right there, as he's going to have to repair that. And some more drivers starting to come down now. Late merge for Chris Harley, and NASCAR Fan 19 plows into him as the 2 car hits the pit lane wall. Heavy damage to Gerardo Run as well. And the caution flag does fly here. 91 smoking just after his career day at Green Valley. Johnny Gardner did not pit, neither did Noah Cars. They're staying out on the racetrack. It looks like some cars are going to get their lap back. But man, were those cars running great. And that especially goes for Chris Harley. Not getting the chance to run every race, but in these part-time capacities, he was running up there in the top 5. Looked like he had a lot going for him. And something definitely happened to his race car, or he just made a very bad mistake. We'll see that back on replay in a sec. And no surprise here, Johnny Gardner, no cars pulling down on the pit lane. They've got the time now under caution flag. And it's just going to be about a 10-car field pulling in. Not a lot to watch here, except I think we'll see most of the field taking 4 tires. At least that would be my guess, just based on what we've seen from the early pit stops in which teams tried to take no tires. And that strategy did not work out great. You see the 84 car down in the bottom frame, and he obviously had to make an unscheduled pit stop. Still didn't get the explanation on what was the cause of that, but he continues to work on his pit surface as the rest of the field starts to pull off pit lane. And the 84 finally gets going. Now let's take a look at what happened here, and this is the first incident. So Eli Bright, a late merge, very clear, as he's going in between the cones, and his car makes contact with the pit lane wall, which sends him around. Nick Smith hits him in the front. Stuart Gradden just barely squeaks by. And is anyone else going to get involved? I think 98. Oh, just a bit. Looked like he checked up enough. But it does right the 88 to where he needs to be. And then another late merge here with Chris Harley and NASCAR Fan 19. Both guilty of that, but the 2 car is the one that really gets bat out of luck because he destroyed the end of that pit lane wall, and the 64 just happened to be right behind him, and so was the 91. And they're both going to sustain fatal damage to their race cars, as the rest of the field is going to try to sneak by, and I think they will. 23, 93, 76, 57, all coming in. A little contact there with Ashley as the 2 car came back down. Brad Stover runs into the back of Ryan Maiden trying to check up. We're watching the 64 car. Oh. No reaction time possible for that. We'll be back after this quick commercial break. A bizarre incident heading in the pit lane is going to drop 3 drivers out of the race. Gerardo Ron, NASCAR Fan 19, Chris Harley, all out of contention here. Now, Johnny Gardner didn't have the opportunity to get onto pit lane before that happened. Did it under caution flag. And running a little bit further back in the field right now, but still in contention in this one. Running behind a lot of other cars. But there's a lot of drivers that try to get their lap back. Can't do it because they're trapped behind the pace car. The current leader right now, Connor Mays, grabbing some points in his debut run. Obviously, as an Amateur Cup Series driver, not going to be able to really redeem those for anything other than like grabbing a points position at the end of the season. But obviously, Mays has been a runner-up in the Amateur Cup Series twice this year in the 4 races run so far. It'd be a great day for him if he could just somehow grab a win. And Philip Fry did not get up to speed, and John Arndt trapped on the outside corner. He was second place at the time, but a big load of drivers getting to the inside now. Contact between Carranza and Moore just underneath them. Oh, now the 78 going to get into the wall with the 57. Johnny Gardner collected in this one. Caution comes back out. And Gardner gets collected after being a little bit further back in the field. Amethyst Ashley also involved. Noah Kim had spun out. Jake Baskinger was caught up in it. Just when you thought that the 6 might have an opportunity to get somewhere, tried to redeem himself from last year. Not going to happen, but a lot of drivers did get their lap back that time. Dwayne Calloway is taking the lead. And you can see the damage to the 6 car now, and he's going to have to come back down the pit lane and take that hood off if he's going to continue racing, because it's too far crunched in for it to be running out of good condition right now. That's a heartbreak for Gardner, who had a great run last year and was having a great run this year with some lap sled. Now let's take a look at the accident itself. And okay, there you see Donnie Moore making contact with Carranza, and I'm thinking Moore actually merges up a tad right here, and I think that's really squeezing Rampage into Ashley, into Fry. There's just not enough room there, as it seems like Moore's trying to get an arc into the next corner way down the backstretch, and just has no awareness where the other cars are going. And Gardner is going to be the one that is just nipped by the spinning car of Ashley. So we'll watch it from the other end of the backstretch. And yeah, you can see Moore is pushing upward into Rampage, which is going into Ashley. 78 is further back, and that's going to clip Ashley in the quarter panel, hit her, get her into the wall. One car sneaks by, but the 6 car is going to be the first contact right there, and it's a heavy hit. As you can see, that nose is crunched in hard. Fortunately, a smaller incident. We're also going to see the 3 car get turned around, as I think a bunch up between the 12 and the 90. The 84 is going to get collected. There's an onboard with Johnny Gardner. Yeah, you can see just how quickly that real estate closed up. The 6 car was just in the wrong place at the wrong time because of what happened on the pit stops. So no drivers dropped out in that wreck. You can see about 4 cars trying to get back on the lead lap. Phil Fry now on the inside line. Was on the outside to start with, but obviously did not have the speed. Dwayne Calloway going to see if he can pull away and take advantage of these lapped cars being on the inside line. Green flag flies. A great jump by the 93 car. 76 trying to follow, just not getting quite the speed as Calloway is. And Eli Bright definitely not running up the speed as he's holding up the inside line. Smith's doing okay, but he didn't get a good jump, so he's not going to be able to stay on the lead lap. As Connor Mays is trying to look to the inside of him. And Callaway still has Dale Jr. Fan 88-83 on his back. The points don't really matter to Callaway in this race, but imagine if he could grab a victory in the Amateur and the Elite Cup Series as Johnny Gardner back down pit lane. His hood's already off the race car, but he's still got problems there. Didn't look like he was going to have much to race for, but he's back down pit lane with obvious problems. As I was saying, Callaway could be the first driver to win an Amateur and then an Elite Cup Series race. He'd be the first to win in 2 different series. Kenny Knox is the first driver to run up a series and win. Callaway could become the first to win in 2 different series. And the congestion back here still high, and they're going to go around. Reese Butcher and the other JR. Stephen Willie as well. Caution flag flies. Jake Baskinger gets a hit. Ryan Maiden spun. Noah Kim slowed down. Nothing too serious about this accident. But that's really just bad morale for especially Stephen Willie, who just has had an absolute awful season so far. But Reese Butcher trying to keep that points lead. Not an accident he wanted to be caught up in. Let's see what happens here. It's 4 wide right here. That's not going to work. As the 90 creeps up, as well as the 98 on the 62 and the 99. Butcher goes around first, and then the 98 car. I'm wondering if they're reacting at all to Philip Fry, because we know he was kind of running slow. But yeah, that leads to about 6 car incident here, unless some other, it might be even more than that. I think Poncer gets squeezed a little bit. Noah Cars looks like he got by cleanly, which is good for him. About 6 or 7 cars involved in this one. From another angle. Yeah, the 90 and the 98 just too close for comfort in that 4 wide situation. Thinking the 3 and the 84 pushed up and possibly got into whoever was behind Baskinger, maybe either Markel or Poncer. We see from the 62, obviously too much of a squeeze there. 62 going to go around, trying to put together the best finish he can in this race number 7. Back after a quick commercial break.
Up with nitrogen-enriched Shell gasoline, it contains a cleaning system that seeks and destroys the engine gunk left by lower quality gasoline. Then it acts as a barrier that protects engines from performance-robbing gunk.
She's trying to wreck me.
Quit your whining, Harvick. Yes! Winner!
Kevin, everyone's a winner with new nitrogen-enriched Shell gasoline.
Back at Twin Ring Motegi for Elite Cup Series action. On RVN, this is the final stretch of laps here. 4 to go when they get back to the line. Looking on the roof cam of the 76. He's looking at the rear of the 93. Dwayne Calloway, an Amateur Cup Series driver, trying to be the second Amateur Cup Series driver to win an Elite Cup Series race this season alone. And that would happen the first 7 races. The 76 would grab a playoff spot if he can get the top from Calloway. Connor May's still pouncing as well. He's another part-timer, having a great debut right now. Green flag flies on lap number 47. 4 laps to go in this one. Dominic Carranza also in the hunt. Zachary Fitzwater Sr. Donnie Moore's having a solid day today. Rampage, the Season 1 champ. Everyone's hungry, and this is a very pass-heavy track. 76 looking to the inside of Calloway. Trying to see if he can make the move in turns 3 and 4. That's the best place to do it. Side by side with him right now. To the inside, and there's drivers coming down pit lane. Rampage, Caleb Campbell, Adam Mundinger. 2 more, that's 98 and the 42. Late pit stops happening here. They could be running out of fuel. Is that pit strategy going to play a factor here right now? We're going to keep an eye on it. 76 continues to lead. 22 to the inside. Connor Mays trying to win his debut. He's going to fit back in the line, but the 93 is going to take advantage as he goes to the inside. He takes the second spot. Can he get the lead in the same move? Donnie Moore pulling down. He's got to make a late pit stop, and another bad finish coming his way. 2 to go. Calloway still on the inside of the 76 as he comes down into 1 and 2. Can he finish it off? Zachary Fitzwater Sr. making a move to the inside of the 22. Now he's in contention for this one. The 93 clears the 76. Off of turn number 2. Now Fitzwater inside of the 76. The 98 and the 42 have pulled back onto the racetrack just in front of Calloway. Is lap traffic going to play a factor in this one? 93 running the outside line. 42 pulls back down on the pit lane. It's going to be less of a roadblock for Calloway. But can Fitzwater or the 76 make a move? White flag out. The other JR is still in front of them. Other cars pulling off pit lane. The 93 is starting to gap the 9. Fitzwater is going to have to mash the accelerator right here if he has any chance of catching Calloway. But the 93 looking like he's getting smaller in the front window. Coming down the backstretch, there's no gap being made up here. Calloway up against the 98. But he's coming off the final corner. And once again this season, an Amateur Cup Series driver is going to spoil the show. Dwayne Calloway wins at Twin Ring Motegi. It wasn't a last lap pass like last year, but any intensity is going to make this a good race. And Dwayne Calloway brought the house down. Another spoiling victory. First it was Kenny Knox, now it's Calloway. Grabbing another potential playoff spot from these Elite Cup Series regulars. And they're going to have to fight for 2 spots at least in points. So in that intense battle right at the end of the race, Dwayne Calloway is going to take home the victory and open up another playoff spot in the Elite Cup Series to a driver on points. Zachary Fitzwater Sr. came oh so close to grabbing it, but at the very end just couldn't close the deal. He'll be the top running full-timer. Connor Mays with a great debut as well. John Arndt, the top running veteran, 6th place for him. William Brock just behind him. And a great day for Brad Stover, who could take over the points lead at this point, thanks to the not so great performances of the drivers ahead of him. Jeff Porkins with his first top 10 of the season. Just a little bit further back, Reese Witcher is in 19th. So it's going to be a close point battle between him and Brad Stover. We can only assume that Stuart Grad's going to drop back a little bit more as he's not even in the top 20. He's back here in 26th place after being involved in a couple of accidents today, along with his teammate, the other JR. They're both the last cars on the lead lap. Rampage had to come down very late, along with Donnie Moore and Adam Mundinger. For some late service, they are 23rd through 25th. Johnny Garner got a little bit of an advantage, as well as Jay Bassinger, to get some spots away from them. Some guys got caught a lap down, and some guys just had a lot of bad luck as Chris Harley's crashed into the pit lane wall, took out Gerardo Rod and NASCAR Fan 19. Kenny Knox, Jack Krause of hard contact, Aiden Shepard involved in an accident, as well as David Davidson. All of those drivers not being able to finish this race. And a look at our standings, and we have a tie, which I think is the first time that's happened over the course of these first 2 seasons. Currently, Brad Stover is being listed as the leader because of average finish, and that's thanks in part due to Butcher getting a bit of a points bonus for winning a race. But Stover is winning on average finish, so that is why he currently possesses the top spot. But obviously, a lot of races to go. We shouldn't expect that tiebreaker to last for another week. John Arndt is slipping up into 3rd place over Stuart Gradden. He's only 4 points behind. Again, great consistency from the 05 driver. Julio Caesar up here in 5th place. But how about Dwayne Calloway? He's in 10th place, and he's missed 2 races this season. That win equally as huge to him as it is just being up here with some of the top drivers. He is definitely showing his strength right now, and he could be an Elite Cup Series driver next season if he can, especially if he can close off the championship run at the very end of the season. Looking a little bit further down, drivers like Caleb Campbell dropping a little bit, as well as NASCAR Fan 19, and with this Ashley still staying around the mid-teens when it comes to her points position. She just has to stay in the top 25 to make it to the playoffs, and she'll get the same amount of points as everyone else. But it's definitely going to be a lot more confident building if she can get some good runs going before the playoffs. We go even a little further back. It's a good day for Zachary Fitzwater Sr. He'll gain a little bit, even though he's still back in 26th place. Johnny Gardner looked like he was going to get a great run going, and he still finished at 21st place, and that's exactly where he is in the point standings right now. Both of those Gardner Racing teammates trying to climb up from what was a very bad start to their season. And even further back, you're seeing that these guys way back here in the 30s are already in the triple digits behind those points leaders, which means very bad runs going for them. But Stephen Willie finally able to crack the top 40, so that's a little bit of a positive for him, but he got involved in an accident today, and he is going to continue to struggle gaining some points. A quick look at our team standings. Ranko still leads, but Callaway, considering that Dwayne seems to be the only one that can qualify for these races, is just cutting away that gap. And if he is the only one that qualifies again for 8 Bowl and manages to pass the averages of the 2, maybe 3 drivers at that race, well, that could mean that we could have a part-timer leading the point standings. But obviously it comes down to whether or not they can stay in all the races, which is not exactly going to happen. It's not expected to happen. So we'll see where it goes from there. But if the next full-time team, RPG7 Motorsports, 17 points back of Ramco, and AMI Incorporated, 20.5 points back. And in the Rookie of the Year standings, Stuart Gradden's struggles are Brad Stover's chances, as he's only 3 points back of the 29 car heading into 8 Bowl. Meanwhile, the rest of the field is just kind of lagging back there. And, well, it's coming a 2-horse battle at this point, but there's still a lot of the season left to go. At this point, David Davidson's the only driver that hasn't gotten any bonus points out of these rookie standings, and that includes either a top 10 or being in the top 10 among rookies. He has done neither of those. The only points he's getting is just for starting the race. That is going to wrap it up from here at Twin Ring Motegi. A weekend of exciting racing in both the Truck and the Elite Cup Series. And our next racing action is going to take place at 8 Bowl. We'll see the Amateur and the Elite Cup Series racing there next week. But for now, for NFRN and RVN, my name is Colin Denton. We hope you enjoyed today's running of the Twin Ring 400. Congrats to Dwayne Callaway on the win, and we will see you all next time.